G'day everyone. Before we hop into today's vlog, I just want to remind you to please hit that subscribe button. From now on, I'm going to be putting out daily online poker vlogs. We're going to be tracking my process as I play these 6 max online poker cash games 6 out of 7 days of the week. Make sure you hit subscribe so you get the vlogs as they come out. But for now, onto the vlog. G'day everyone, welcome back to the vlog. It is currently 7:30 AM on another cold Melbourne morning, and this is my 50th online poker vlog that I've made. Oh my god, I can't believe I've made 60 of these goddamn things. Time has just flown by. I can't believe I've made so many at this point. I guess time flies when you're having fun though, and the plan for today is just to play more online poker to celebrate the 50th vlog. So we're going to play as many A-grade level hands as we possibly can of 1-2 online 6 max cash games. Then we're going to report back to you guys with the results. This is also my last day before I take the midweek weekend that I always take on Wednesdays, so we will be checking results, and if I can get over the 7,500 hand mark, not going to stress too much if I don't get over that mark. Obviously I lost a bit of progress having not played half of yesterday and entirely the day before that, except for playing live poker, so going to cut myself a bit of slack if I don't quite get to the number I want. To give myself the energy to actually get through with it, I'm going to need to cook up a feed to get some calories in me. Let's go. Welcome back everyone. It is currently 6:30 PM and I finally wrapped up my second poker session for the day. Was able to play a total of 5 hours and 38 minutes today, racking me up a grand total of 1,601 hands. So obviously that is a lot more volume than I have done pretty much all week. I think it's the most hands I've played in a single day this week, which I'm pretty stoked about, I can't lie, and it does bring us to over 7,700, so absolutely smashed the 7,500 hand goal. Obviously not quite at the original 9,000 hand goal that we did set, but like I've said in the past 2 vlogs, with that day where I took off and played live poker instead, that much was to be expected. So as far as my volume from this week goes, it's a thumbs up for me, pretty stoked with that. As for the results from today's session specifically, I did end up losing 682 across both of the sessions, unfortunately. And for my gameplay grade, I'm going to give myself a C today. There are a few things I did like about my play. I was disciplined in certain spots post-flop, like I did make a few big river laydowns, which, as I often talk about on this vlog, it's probably the right move to do that in general in these 1-2 online 6 max cash games where people are a bit tighter, to be honest. So I did like that. Some of the things I didn't like about today's sessions is copped a few bad beats, which obviously is pretty typical of any day playing 1,500 hands, but I really do feel like I let it affect me emotionally and sort of tilt some of my decisions moving forward from those bad beats. And I was just calling too many hands out of position in 3-bet pots, and I was also opening too wide, which kind of feeds into the other problem. But yeah, I would just open too wide, then I would get 3-bet and I'd feel like, well, I have to call with some of my hands, but it's really not a good idea to be calling 3-bets out of position very often, and I definitely fell for it and lost a bunch of EV in those type of situations, unfortunately. So really do have to hold myself accountable for those sort of amateurish mistakes that I should know better than to make. So definitely have to downgrade my gameplay as a result, and I'm going to land on a C for today's session. The biggest reason I was pretty down on my own gameplay from today was just because A, I got tilted by bad beats, which is already a pretty silly mistake, but then B, I was just calling too many 3-bets in and out of position. I really should be tighter and mixing in more 4-bet bluffs, particularly in these tight player pools, and sort of calling 3-bets. It can be good with certain hands in certain dynamics, but I was just way overdoing it in today's session. even though I do feel like my post-flop play, I sort of just like snapped out of it post-flop and started playing more reasonably. But pre-flop, I was giving away a bunch of EV by playing too loose and calling too loose. This next hand is a good one to showcase exactly what I mean. So let's get into it. The action folds to me in the cutoff, and I have ace-6 of hearts. I go ahead and open it up to 5. Then action gets to a loose aggressive small blind, and they go ahead and 3-bet it to 17. The action's back on me here, and I think in this spot I should either be just folding or 4-betting. I definitely do think there is merit to 4-bet bluffing here, just because, like I've said about this play pool before, opponents are very, very scared to get hands that aren't aces or kings, all in pre-flop. And because we have an ace in our hands ourselves, we know it's a lot less likely that my opponent does have aces or kings here. So this might be a good spot to bluff them off whatever hand they are 3-betting, because it's more likely it is a trashier hand. I do like mixing in 4-bet bluffs in these games, but I typically like to use hands that are a bit stronger than ace-6. Ace-6 is obviously the weakest ace there is, because even the ace-5, ace-2, ace-3, ace-4, they can all make wheel straights, which makes them a bit stronger in terms of overall equity. So ace-6, I really feel like the proper move is just to fold here. Even though my opponent did choose a smaller size to 3-bet and we are in position, it's just going to be a hand we're going to want to fold, because my opponent can have all the ace-jack, ace-queen, ace-king hands, which obviously we're a massive dog against with our bad kicker. So despite the good price, probably a good spot to just fold anyway. But if you don't want to fold, I wouldn't mind mixing in a 4-bet bluff. As I've been saying, the biggest leak from my session today is I was calling 3-bets too often, and you might have been able to predict that's what happens this hand. I do throw in the call. I don't like this play, but it's not the worst mistake I've ever made on the vlog. If you want to see that, go to yesterday's vlog and watch my river play. But I mean, there is some merit to it. Smaller bet and getting to play in position. It's just my least favorite of the 3 options in retrospect. Regardless though, I call, and then we are heads up to a flop, which is Jack 7-3 rainbow with 1 heart. So we do have the backdoor nut flush draw, and the small blind keeps betting at it. They go ahead and make it 19. The action's on me here, and I think there's a few different options I can have here. There is some merit to bluff raising here, just because my opponent is loose aggressive, and I think they're probably going to be betting a lot of their like ace-king and ace-queen combinations on this board, which means their betting range is actually kind of weak, and we could attack it by raising. Having said that though, kind of against that option, just because there aren't a lot of strong hands we can represent on this board. We could have all the sets, but that's about it. So it's going to be kind of face up that our range isn't that strong either if we do raise. So that's kind of my least favorite option. Then I have to choose between folding and calling. I think there is a lot of merit to just folding here. Like I said, if my opponent is betting ace-king, ace-queen, like we lose to that anyway. So it obviously will make a lot of logical sense to fold. Plus, of course, I do have all the overpairs, ace-jack, maybe even king-jack, queen-jack that we lose to. So definitely could get behind a fold here. I decide to call, however, which I actually kind of like against a loose aggressive opponent, because like I said, my opponent does have all of those ace-x hands or just weaker hands that they are just c-betting just because. So we can definitely look to bluff them off that in a later street, considering we do have position. Plus, there's going to be a bunch of good turn cards for us where you can make a gut shot straight draw on a 4 or a 5. Plus, obviously, any heart will give us a nut flush draw, and we can even turn a pair, which might be good against my opponent's range. So I do decide to float in position, but I think there's merit to all 3 options. Regardless though, we go heads up to a turn, which is the 10 of diamonds. The small blind checks it over to me. Now, I think in this spot, I definitely want to go ahead and bluff here. Like I said, I thought my opponent will be betting a lot of ace-x type hands on the flop, but the fact that they are a loose aggressive opponent, if they do have a strong hand like an overpair or a strong jack, I think it's very likely that they're just going to keep betting off that hand to try and get paid off with their loose table image. So when they do check, I really think it is unlikely they do have a super strong hand. Maybe like pocket jacks that they're just trying to trap with, or pocket 10s is also somewhat possible, but that's about it. I think they just have a bunch of ace-high hands, or maybe like pocket 9s, pocket 8s, that we can probably start to bluff them off if we bet this straight. So I go ahead and make it 50, and then the small blind does call. At this point, I still do think it is possible that my opponent is just looking to call down with ace-king and ace-queen. Even still on the turn, obviously those hands have gut shots now, so they can call with those very reasonably. Also somewhat possible that they did turn a 10, like they 3-bet ace-10, 10-9 suited or something. They turned a pair and they weren't quite sure what to do with it, so they just check call. That's a very reasonable line as well. So we're heads up to the river still, which is the jack of diamonds. Small blind checks it over to me here, and I think here there is a lot of merit to just checking behind and giving up. We do beat some of the hands in my opponent's range. If they have king queen that floated, we beat that, so we can just check and try to beat that specific hand. Having said that though, I do think this is a really good spot to go ahead and just bluff here. Like I said, I think it is pretty unlikely my opponent does have one of those stronger overpairs or a jack type hand, just because the least aggressive opponent is generally going to barrel across multiple streets to use their image to get paid off. So I think it's pretty unlikely. They do have a super strong hand. Plus, even if my opponent does have an ace high or a strong 10, I think they're going to be pretty reluctant to call on this river, just because I can very credibly represent a jack or even a rivered flush, since a lot of my semi bluffs did get there on the river. So I think this is a great spot to go ahead and bluff for it. The one thing I will say against bluffing, the fact that we do have ace-6 of hearts here, we're going to have a bunch of bluffs in this spot. And if I read that my opponent has a weak range, or if they just decide to call with an ace high type hand or something, I'm definitely way overdoing the bluffs here, and if my opponent calls me down light, they're kind of owning me at poker. So obviously I am over bluffing here, but it is intentional just because I think it is a good spot for me to represent a strong hand when I assume my opponent's range is weak. So I go ahead and bet 123. Then my opponent tanks a bit before folding. Cool. Absolutely stoked we did get that bluff through, and I really do like my read on the hand that my opponent was weak, and I continued to put pressure on him when I thought that. Having said that though, I still think this hand is a fold pre-flop, and if my opponent did decide to call down a bit lighter, then yeah, I'm absolutely getting destroyed in my post-flop play, as well as the fact I gave away a bunch of EV pre-flop, so it would have been very easy for me to get owned by having that leak of playing too many hands pre-flop. And that's definitely something I'm going to keep in mind going forward, playing these 1-2 online poker 6 max cash games. Let me know what you think though. You guys might totally disagree with what I said. You might think pre-flop calling is fine, like totally standard, and you might even think the river bluff is like just way too overdoing it, and your opponent is going to make you look silly when they do call with ace high, or they did trap with queens or something. So hop in the comments below, let me know your thoughts. What are you doing on the river? Are you going ahead and bluffing it like I did, or are you just checking back, trying to beat a king queen type hand? Is it not a good spot to go for it at all? Always curious to hear what you guys think, so hop in the comments below, let me know your thoughts. Before I forget, the one last thing I do want to address on today's vlog is my weekly goal of setting a set number of hands that I want to play in a week. I think I'm going to ditch that plan going forward. Trialed it out this week, and I really do feel like it didn't really take away any of the pressure I felt to like put volume in and do more hands, and I had multiple days where I was way off my A game, today being one of those days, so I don't really think it helped me get more volume in when I was playing better, because I felt the stress anyway when I wasn't on my A game as well. So I think I'm going to totally ditch that plan and go back to the 1,500 hands a day, just because I did get a lot of volume in when I was on that strategy. But obviously I still do think it's flawed, and going to have to brainstorm some other ways around that are efficient at A, making sure I do get volume in, but B, also making sure the volume's good. Next vlog though, is the 1,500 hands like it used to be. That's going to wrap up another vlog for today. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. That really helps the channel out. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Get these daily vlogs as they come out to you. And for now, I'm out of here. Peace.